that is part of the problem, is that not all disabilities are visible disabilities. I think it's more important to understand that not all disabilities are visible. Not all disabilities are you're in a wheelchair or you have an aid to assist you. And I also think that it's important to remember that everyone has a story. Well, I was actually living and working in Japan before I came to Australia, and I had been traveling through Asia. Australia was on my list, but I guess it wasn't. I never thought it was going to be my final destination. Turns out 11 years I was wrong. But I would say that this sounds really horrible, but I didn't know much about Australia before I got here. Mm-hmm. I definitely thought it was more like the outback than like city, which I know is really bad. But to be fair, I have no sense of geography and I'm really bad at any of that. So I was quite surprised, I think, when I landed in Sydney, and I was like, oh, where's the sand? What's happening?
Did you know about the Sydney Opera House before you
No.
came? Wow. Okay.
Didn't know about the Sydney Harbour Bridge, didn't know about the Sydney Opera House. I knew nothing about this country, which is, yeah.
All right, well, you like
shameful, but but it also meant that it was a massive adventure. A lot of people like to compare Australians and Canadians. I'd actually say Canadians are more like New Zealanders. I think it has something to do with actually the way New Zealand is just geographically. Like the mountains are there, the water, the wide open roads. It just creates this extreme laid backness, but also community and connection. In Canada, when I lived in a small town, well, it wasn't too small. I shouldn't say that. It was in Vancouver. That's not that small. But when I lived in Vancouver, people would walk around and you could say hi to someone on the street and it wouldn't be weird. It wouldn't be unusual. If you're sitting in a park and someone sits next to you and they strike up a conversation, that's not weird. That's just part of it. Versus I find that in Sydney, people don't really do that unless you're you, in which case I feel like you talk to everyone and that is great. But I did find that in New Zealand. People were much more, hi, how are you? Thanks so much for coming. What are you interested in? There is this genuine wanting to know who you are and what you were about. And so I feel like Canadians and New Zealanders are a lot more. Plus, when I was driving on those roads, it just felt like I was in Canada. So
now that you mention it, it does feel like Canada's similar to New Zealand in that way. I've always thought about it as, like America and Canada, Australia and New Zealand, they're like, neighboring countries, they tend to have this like friendly competition or something.
Yeah.
And New Zealand's the like, laid back, like easygoing, open, friendly ones. And now that you mention it, Sydney's just a harsh, cruel, guys.
Oh, Sydney's not harsh or cruel. I just think Sydney has so much diversity in it, which, doesn't necessarily mean that you're not kind, but I think it has so much diversity and you can feel it in the city. It's got this pulse. And the city's pulse is, you gotta move. It has that little bit of, you gotta get to where you're going. You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta climb that ladder, run that rat race. It's very individualistic versus, you can go to Auckland and that is not the experience you would have. They still have a city vibe, but the pulse is different. The pulse is about the people. It's about connecting. It's about being open to a chat. And I think that for me was the difference. I think there's a lot of fear in the world. I think fear is something that is stronger to fan the flames of than love. But I also think that with fear, it can only go so far and it can only bring so much destruction before the balance needs to kick back in. And so I feel like you're kind of seeing that around the world, and I think sometimes that needs to come to the surface so that we can just get rid of it. And so I think you let it boil. Similar if you think of like a pot of boiling water, you put pasta in it and all of a sudden there's like this foam that kind of happens. And if you just kind of take away that top bed and get rid of it, you have this like great dish that you can eat afterwards. And so I think we're doing that. We're seeing the last era of fear and just caring about me and that thing to actually we all need each other. And globally, this is one of the hardest eras for humanity and we need to come together and we need to make changes and we need to do it together. And so I think that younger generation, they're going to do it. They're already doing it. They're putting adults to shame, and I think that they're ready for that next iteration of politics, that next iteration of voice. And so I think let the Trumps of the world have their day and then let's be done with it. I love Ottawa. I went to
Okay.
university in Ottawa. I just loved my time when I was there. Great food, interesting. It's a lot like Canberra, so if you don't love Canberra, maybe you won't love Ottawa. You know, so I'm probably
Wow.
not the best Canadian representative.
You're selling it so well.
So good, I know. It's just a place you have to be, I think, and have to live in. And maybe it's just that place that you can only do when you're in university. I'm not sure, but yeah, I am a horrible tour guide. Japan was amazing. So I lived there for 18 months and I taught English, as most people do when they go to Japan, really. Japan was a big leap of faith, I guess. You know, I knew nothing about it before I went. Again, horrible with geography. I had no idea. I didn't even know they got earthquakes. Or that it was an island. Like, I had no concept. It was just so bad how bad I don't know anything about geography. Slightly funny, but mostly just sad. Yeah, we went to, or I went to Japan, and I went for an adventure. I had no idea what I was up for. You know, none of my family had been to Asia or this side of the world. So to them, they're like, what are you doing? I didn't know what I was doing, and maybe that was part of it. But Japan was probably the most amazing experience I've ever had. And that is because of the people I met, being in a culture that was completely outside of my comfort zone. You know, most people, although they can speak English, they didn't like speaking English to you because it's more of a nervous thing that they have, not because they don't want to. The Japanese people are extremely beautiful and they made me really love food. Like, they take so much pride. Even if you're just going to like a 7-Eleven, like they ask if you wanted to heat up your food. Like, it was just, everything was just so sweet and so amazing. And they're such giving people. And so I loved everything about Japan. And if you get to go. Fully recommend that. Do it. Have you been?
When I was a kid, I can't remember much.
So you're going to go now? Did I sell it? Did I do really good?
The pressure is on. Well, I've got to do so many things now after this Convo Couch session. I've got to go volunteer at Bus Stop Films.
You do need to volunteer. Yeah, you need
I've got to go
Japan.
to Ottawa. In Canada. Wow, that's a lot of things to do.
You should get involved in the climate change
Okay.
rebellion.
Yeah, I should just cancel all my social media accounts.
My partner is a massive activist, and so he would know way more than me. But I guess it's really important to think about, it's not just our future, you know. We have like, another, probably going to tell you my age. Well, I'll just give it a really long time period.
Yeah.
Another 60 years, you know, to live on this planet in my lifetime. And then I'm going to be passing that on, hopefully to my kids, or at least to the children that are already existing. Scientists all around the world have agreed that we only have 12 years left to really make a difference. And if we don't make the changes that we need, there's no going back. And that means losing wildlife, habitats. You know, the biggest migration of humans will happen in the world as well. And if we think about all the rhetoric that's happening right now about immigration, it's only going to get worse. You know, you see our Pacific Islanders, you know, pleading and begging Australians to do something. And as world leaders and as global leaders, we have an obligation to do that. And we have an obligation to respect what we have. It's been very good to us, I would say. And so it's time for us to give back. And so the movement is about remembering the earth and what balance we play in that, as well as leaving something for our generations so that, you know, they can see the polar bears that we grew up with. They can see the amazing glaciers in Greenland. They can go through amazing air quality like we have. You know, it's, you know, the plentiful fish, it's all those things that we don't realize we take for granted right now that we really need to be standing up for and being willing to give to other people. The three main demands of the global climate strike is no more coal mines. You know, obviously moving away from fossil fuels and turning to renewable energies. I think it's really important though, and I know it's a really hard one for people because there's a lot of jobs that depend on coal mines. There's a lot of livelihoods that do that. There's a lot of families and a lot of communities. And so I think it's about having a real discussion with them about what their opportunities are and how we can really support them, because I think just saying no more coal mines, like, it's not going to change. Does it change your mind? If your whole family depended on coal mines, you know, how supportive would you be of someone saying no more coal mines, none, done? Like, how supportive would you feel about that? So I think it's about having a really honest conversation and bringing and giving those people the same opportunities in a different area like renewable energy. The second demand that they're making is for the media to start telling the truth. That's a really big one. So, really clear facts, being really open and sharing publicly through the channels. Third one from memory is reducing our emissions to 0 by 2050. Yeah, look, Canadians depend a lot on nuclear energy. I think it takes a lot of water and a lot of power to get nuclear energy, but it does a lot of good. I prefer to stick with things that are more natural, but yeah, nuclear is much better than coal.
Hey guys, thanks for hanging with us on the Convo couch, and thank you to Dianna for coming along today.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been an awesome experience, and this is an extremely comfy couch, so I highly recommend people come and have a chat with you.
Oh, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe on the links below and check out the links to Bus Stop Films too. See you next time.
Hi, I'm Dianna Grassa, the COO of Bus Stop Films. I'm excited to get on this couch and talk with Sun, and I would encourage everyone to come check out Bus Stop Films. We're an inclusive filmmaking organization that provides students with an intellectual disability the opportunity to make high quality, engaging, and powerful films. Thanks so much. Bus Stop Films means to me, it means family. It means the ability to be authentic and to create and be part of changing an industry which can sometimes be really restrictive. Bus Stop Films is a place of opportunity, of authenticity, and of family, I would say.
Do Canadians say A a lot? Is that true, or is that just a myth?
Oh, that's mean. Hey, oh, yes, we do. We say A quite a bit.
But you've lost your A? Do you say mate now these days?
I do say mate. We don't use A the way you guys use mate. So it's a bit different, but we do use A.
Aussies use A too, don't they? They're like, hey, check this out, you.
They're saying hey. They say, hey, check this out.
Oh, sorry. What's the proper application of A? What's the proper context?
Oh, I told you I'm the worst Canadian. I think it's more like, it's going good, eh?
Oh, I see. It's more like a...
You can use it as a question. You can use it as a check-in. You can use it as a neutralizer. Yeah.
It's like when Australians have the inflection at the end of the sentence.
Kind of, yeah. We kind of use it like that, but we also, yeah, like for example, if someone's doing something, it'd be like, hey, oh, you could do it like that. I don't have a great, oh.
That's okay.
If you need to get me on this couch with another Canadian, and I could probably do it.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this episode in a series where we interview business leaders, tech innovators, and startup founders about their business journey, insights, and reflections. If you find value in this, please leave us a comment below, and also like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Enjoy!